flight engineers, the mechanics. They're the ones who made the extra reservoirs to make ingenious boats for their masters, the pilots. Up until minutes before the mission, they work on the aircraft for their pilot. They're all waiting for the arrival of the leader, Gil Wyman. They know he'll throw his lucky charm, his girlfriend's nurse's cap, at them. And there's his second in command, his friend Major Dick Hunsaker, the man with the cigars, who's a cool character. They're about to leave on one of the last missions to Italy. These are the mechanics who accompany them until takeoff, guiding them because the kings of the sky can't see anything in front of them but their enormous engines. The mechanics watch them fly off to glory or to death, and they, the ones without rank and without worries, have nothing to do but get through the night in the dirty oil and grease.
Enlisted personnel never overstepped their bounds. The officers were on one side, the enlisted personnel were on the other side. But the camaraderie between the two, the officer and particularly the flying officer, depended very heavily on the mechanic and the armorers for his life. I mean, that was his life. Those men are the people who kept him alive, really, so he could fly another day.
America and Corsica wanted to preserve the memory of these men in marble.
We had the idea of making a monument here, because historically, this was at the end of the runway for taking off and landing aircraft, and at the same time a place that had been devoted to war and destruction. It's now a college, an educational place, a place focused on the future of young people. So symbolically, it was important.
Why this plaque? What does Alto mean? We explained to them that it's due to the proximity of the Fiumalto River that the Americans shortened to Alto. And I think it's something very important, because it truly is in our memory here.
A third monument in their honor. William Wyler and John Sturgis's movie, Thunderbolt.
We kept up the pressure. The strangle was on. That's when our ground forces attacked. Allied troops took Cassino, and in 3 weeks, were in Rome.
The squadron discovers Italy. Ruins, famine, abandoned children, and trails of their terrible action with their thunderbolts everywhere. It's one thing to aim at an anonymous and distant target, an abstract and professional gesture which is translated here on the ground by this. The pilots don't have moods. They do their duty, then they go sightseeing. Wyman goes to Italy with his fiancée. Between two missions, the warrior rests. This footage, unedited, was filmed by his friend Dick Hunsaker, who somehow got hold of the movie maker Wyler's camera. It's during one of these jolly trips that the unit hears about the end of the war in Europe. But it continues against Japan. At the beginning of August of 1945 in Naples, the squadron gets ready to go aboard the C.O. Hall, a Liberty ship that will crawl across the Atlantic until the news of the atom bomb and the end of the war sends our pilots directly to the United States. But their leaders weren't with them. Richard Hunsaker and Gil Wymond, the two inseparables, wouldn't see each other again. In May, when his service in action ended, Wymond gave up the command of the 65th Squadron. Hunsaker filmed his departure. Wymond leaves for France to get married, his fiancée having been transferred from the coast of Nancy. On the 2nd of May, 1945, Mr. Gilbert Wymond marries Miss Chrissinger Pearl. The couple returned to the United States, and soon Gilbert Wymond Jr. is born. Wymond is appointed commander of a unit, the 55th Squadron of jet fighter planes. The Thunderbolt no longer has a propeller. It's become the Thunder Jet. But these first jets are dangerous. On the 12th of May, 1949, Gil Wymond takes off on a training flight. When he does the first turn, the wings break. Wymond is killed 5 years after Alto.
She never remarried. And this was a case of true love, if there ever was true love. If there ever was a case of true love, this was it. I'm convinced of that. And my mother never had a serious interest in any other man beyond my father. It was a large painting that was hung in our family room, our living room, above the sofa. And I grew up with my father present in our family room, his likeness present.
His friend at Alto, Richard Hunsaker, became a general. He was charged with one of the most delicate and secret missions of the Cold War: to conduct the decontamination operation of Greenland, the victim of a serious nuclear accident. In January 1968, a giant B-52 bomber crashed, scattering the contents of its 4 thermonuclear bombs across the ice. Terrible pollution, a kind of pre-Chernobyl incident in the cleanest area on the planet. General Hunsaker convened military and scientific experts and applied every possible means at minus 40 degrees. The contaminated snow is put into containers. A long and laborious job that he carries out perfectly. General Hunsaker is congratulated and decorated. And he and his wife leave to go on holiday in Mexico. Their son will never see them again.
They were it was a light airplane accident. They were returning from Mexico, and they ran into a mountain. And I only presumed that it was foggy because it was always foggy where they were. And he made a mistake.
And the others, what became of them?